Welcome to AthsTv, a huge weekend done and dusted. It's the Coles Summer Super Series, the Queensland Track Classic, and there were hugely fast times left, right and centre. We'll get to that and plenty more very shortly. As always, I am joined by my main man, Matt Lynch.
Thanks for having me back again. One more.
In your backyard last weekend, you've recovered?
Oh, it was a big weekend. It was a big couple of weeks leading up, but it's nice to have that done and straight on to Nationals.
And of course, look, I've got you down here as part of the AA live stream, but I think superstar and legend of Australian athletics for such a long period of time, Tamsyn Manou, welcome to you.
Thank you. It's actually really good to be on set.
It is. It's exciting. And of course, there's been a lot of wild weather over this summer as well, so at least you stay dry for a couple of minutes as we talk.
True, that's true. It's an outdoor sport.
Yeah, that's true as well. Hey, to be honest, I don't really know where to start because there were so many wonderful events and so much fast times last week. But we might start with the 4x100 metre relay for the men too, because they were outstanding as they warm up towards those Worlds in Japan in May.
Yeah, exactly. Jake Doran leading them off to Rowan Browning, Jack Hale, and then Alex Hartman bringing him home. But it was good to have the B team out there as well, getting these guys another gig. Arnis Abuganaba to Jacob Despard, so Zach Holdsworth and Michael Romanen. But you can see Rowan Browning, just that form down the back straight, I think it was a sign for something to come. 38.83 the time they ended up with, and safe changes, I'd like to say, very safe changes. But I think they're going to be a force to reckon with at World Relays in Yokohama.
I think it was really clever to go with the safe changes because it's early in the season and, you know, you get nerves, you don't know how the athlete's going to take off and they just got to get used to each other. They've changed the order a little bit with Doran coming in because they're used to Trey Williams, who is going to be, like, great if you can put him back in that first leg because he's such a good starter. So I think to go safe was great, but they've run 38.83, which was the time that they ran to win the bronze at the 2001 World Championships with Paul DeBella in it, actually, who coaches Jake Doran. So a good little link there. But safe changes, 38.83. The Australian record's 38.17. Like, you drop Trey back in, you know, you've got, gosh, their times 10.08, 10.10, 10.15, 10.18. 10.19, yeah, pretty quick. Like, you know, that team's pretty special. And I mean, you're starting to talk about could they actually, if they do the, you know, they risk those changes and make that Olympic final and push for sub 38. Like, it's a special team.
Remarkably, as great as they were, and we speak so glowingly about it, the very fact is that the 4x400 metre relay was even more impressive. And this is a relay team in an event that has had success at the major level before. And what they did in the weekend was, I won't say extraordinary, but incredibly impressive considering we've got a big 18 months ahead of us.
Well, that was actually, you can see Steve Solomon there anchoring the team. That's his first run since he did the Continental Cup in Czech Republic last year, and that was his first run for quite some time as well. So it was a bit iffy to see what kind of form he was in. He would tell you that he was in great form, and he obviously showed it out there. I think he was very steady with the way he ran it.
Yeah.
Very smart running. He's probably one of the smartest guys out in the athletics tour at the moment. But those guys, the first time they've ever been together, and they had to run under 3:05. If they didn't do it, not going to World Relays, and that really makes it hard to go to the World Champs, and they smashed the time.
They did, but not only are they, like, you know, you're looking at these names. Ian Haplin is a chef from the Blue Mountains. He's 25. You've got Tyler Gunn, Alex Beck, Steve Solomon. He's
working.
Really good stuff. But I mean, these guys were. There's only one person who was in that Commonwealth Games 4x4 team last year, and that was Steve Solomon. So we have the guys who were also in that team as well last year, and then we also have, like, Luke Stevens is coming back. So there's depth in that event as well, and I think depth can mean that, you know, they push each other and you could probably push that team down to closer to those 3:01s where they need to be come Olympics next year.
Huge result heading towards the World Relays in Japan in May and obviously to Doha and then the Olympics in 2020. But as you touched on as we were watching at the 4x100 metres, Rowan Browning was outstanding down the back and he's run 10.08, PB by, I think, 11/10 of a second, fastest Australian ever on Australian soil, third fastest Australian of all time. So many other different ways we could look at it and carve it up, but this was outstanding.
Well, not only is he obviously 10.08, he did his 10.19 on the same track at the end of 2017, but he even pulled Jack Hale through for a PB after it took him 3 years to do it in Perth. It took a week to do it this time. And even Alex Hartman, he did PB back when he won the national champs in 2016. He even did a PB. So it's not only that, just pulling all these other guys through. And I think the delivery of a 2.0 tailwind right on the legal wind, it came in just in time. So, you know, Queensland, you've got to come to Queensland if you want to run fast.
Jack Hale was on AthsTv last week and we spoke about the depth of sprinting in Australia. And I think that was indicative of the fact that both the A and the B team went around in the 4x100 relay as well. But the fact is when you get deep and you get the competitive juices flowing, and you know, Tamsyn, is when you get 5, 6, 7 people in the same race, this time of year, Nationals on the horizon, fast and good good things are going to happen, and that was a real example of it.
The thing I really love about Rowan is the fact that every time there's competition, he really lifts. I mean, this is a guy who just missed that Commonwealth Games final to Henrico Brankis, who then went on to win the silver medal in the Commonwealth Games. He really lifts with competition, and that's what you look for with your athletes going forward. So I think that Rowan Browning could really do some damage against those sprinters, those worldwide sprinters at not only Doha but Tokyo next year.
Yeah, well, even then, so, you know, we had a crowd of around 1,500 to 2,000, but you put that in Doha with maybe 50 to 60, 70,000 fans, and it's going to be a super fast Mondo track. It's going to be hot as well. He's a chance to go sub 10, and he's I've thrown it out there. It's a hot take.
Look, we love it, and we love the idea of it. Just
let's even go it again.
Us.
10:08. He's only 21, 22 years old. He's probably even better over 200. So I'm going to throw it out there as well. Peter Norman's record, 20.06, within at least by Birmingham 2022 Com Games, he'll be sub 10 and maybe sub 20.06.
I spoke to him in a radio interview on Sunday evening, and he spoke about the decision between the 100 and the 200. And of course, when you get to the majors and you've got to make a decision every now and then, he spoke about the openness of the 200 as a worldwide event. And he said when it comes to being able to roll up and have an opportunity to win a medal or make finals, maybe the 200 is something that is essentially not easier, but more open, where you see random athletes or non-high-pro athletes come up and do really well at Worlds or Olympic Games, and that's something I think that he's keeping in mind as well.
It's smart. It's definitely smart to do that, because it is about medals, and if you have two events, you know, that you're good at, then you have to really be particular and carefully choose the one that's going to suit you better to finish higher placed. And I think what he's thinking is correct. The men's 100 is pretty tough, but I still would like to see him focus on the 100 till he gets that sub 10, but I think I reckon he could run low 20s now.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Hopefully we see him after the 100 heats of nationals. Maybe he can step out in that too and get that 2040. It's a tough qualifier.
All right, plenty more went on as well. We might start with Brooke Stratton, who was beaten by the narrowest of margins a week early. She turned that around, jumped really well on the weekend. Yeah,
6.74. She's another season best. She's just getting better and better. And obviously with Nah, you know what we're saying, more people in there make us competitive. They're having some great battles head-to-head all the time. So I think they're almost, it might be like 3-1 or 2-1 to Brooke going into nationals. But, you know, the national title's on the line. I'm sure Brooke doesn't want to let that go.
Yeah, and she's, you know, we're talking about a 7 metre plus jumper. She's world class, and it's fantastic to see what Nah has done, knowing that she has to jump far to actually win competitions here. And her 100 metre speed that Nah's got this year, and she takes that to the nationals. I think she's got an even bigger jump in her as well.
Yeah.
I reckon the nationals will take 680 plus to win it, which is a huge jump. I mean, we're talking Olympic finals with that jump.
And while the women's long jump is being pushed by these two women, the men's long jump, Darcy Roper again jumped particularly well, cleared 8 metres on 3 different occasions, and not as far as he went last week, where it was a little bit wind assisted, but consistently, always good to back it up a week later and did that.
Yeah, I think he's just now, he's broken through that level and he's found himself, that's now his average. Yeah. So instead of being that 780 guy that popped out in 8 metres, he's now probably an 832 windy guy, but he's just sitting on that 8, and that's, I think, where he needs to be to then, you know, get through the qualifying and maybe pop one big out one for a medal. And
he is beautiful on the runway. Like, his timing off the ground is just at its best at the moment. I was standing there watching him warm up, and he'd be a great sprinter as well. He's lovely off the ground, and so when he's running, he's confident. And you can just see he's got that attitude that's so relaxed, which is, you know, you can't buy that sort of attitude taking into a competition. So I think, yeah, doing 8 metres plus is just so second nature to him now, which is just music to the ears going into championships. 2
last ones. You always want to be consistent, and Matt Denny is consistent right now, but you can be sometimes consistently frustrated because he hasn't been able to get the world qualifying mark, but he looks primed to be able to do it at the Nationals.
Yeah, I think so. I know the circle at Queensland's not super fast. I don't know if Danny was here, she'd be talking about all the circles. She throws always really good in Sydney. She loves it. It's almost pretty much a home track.
Yep.
And I think a fast circle will help Matt Danny. He could throw over 66 metres the way he's throwing on that Cusack circle. So I think get him down to Sydney Olympic Park and he'll maybe even clear his PB. He only had 65. He doesn't need to go too far, but, you know, if you're feeling good, why not just let it out?
Well, I think it's just a matter of time. He's dropped the hammer throw from his repertoire, and I think that he's really focused on that discus. He's so close to his personal best of just over 65 metres, but I think you're right. I think 66 and plus, you know, Matt Denny's a super talent, and we're just waiting to see him just pop one really far out.
And as always, we love records in any sport, in particular track and field, and Katie Hayward broke a long-standing record of an Australian Australian walking legend.
Yeah, after her 20k effort, this is almost like a sprint for them. Go down 17 k's to shorter to 3,000 metres, and it's a great way for us to showcase our walkers. We've got such a big talent walkers in Queensland. Obviously, Dane Bird-Smith took out the win, but Katie Hayward in that kind of field to walk 12, 10, 17 is just ridiculous on that home track, and it wouldn't have been. It was a hot day leading into it, so it's probably not great walking conditions, but you know what? She killed it.
How good is she going? I mean, that's a world under 20 best ever. So this is an athlete that we've got to watch out for. I mean, she's broken Jane Saville's record, who obviously everyone knows about Jane Saville. She's one of the best race walkers Australia's ever seen. The world's, seen she's been a medalist at majors. So she has a big future, Katie.
Do you ever think about leaving the 800, stepping up to the 20 or 20k walk?
Aerobic side, I just take my hat off to these athletes. I don't know how they do it.
20k walk is like 9 months for me. This is AthsTv. Plenty more coming your way next.